Females of any income could be polygamous, liberal, or monogamous. Y'all have that choice. Men, we need to go by our income because we have to provide for the female we choose. So depending on our income, we could be either monogamous, polygamous. Liberal is probably like the best choice for men who are in poverty condition. That's why you see in mostly urban areas, poverty-stricken urban areas and stuff like that, everybody's just fucking each other. Hey, what's good, y'all? It's your bro with the God. Today I'm talking about the sexual marketplace once again, but today I'm gonna speak to y'all about the different types of relationships that are in nature. So we've been programmed to believe there's only one type of relationship, right? Monogamous, right? Monogamy has been drilled in us time and time again, and it's been drilled in us through religions like Christianity. So I'm here to tell you there are three types of different type of relationships. You have monogamous, polygamous, and also liberal, free, however you want to call it. And all three exist in nature. So all three are true to what's possible for us. So let me tell you which animals actually do these types of relationships. So monogamy, you see that a lot mostly with birds, and people also associate that with wolves. Wolves usually mate with each other, like the alpha wolf, the alpha female, mate with each other for life. Then polygamy, you see that with lions, not just lions, but also gorillas. So the biggest, strongest animals, social animals, tend to be, polygamous. Then you have open, right? Free. So that's like chimpanzees and stuff like that, where there's a lot of males and females in a big social group. Birds as well, where they all just mate with each other. That also happens in real life as well. You see this with, let's say, with the Amazons, right? In the Amazon rainforest, there's these tribes there where they have open sexual relationships. So the women sleep with whatever man they want in the village, and the men sleep with all the women. And of course, they have kids and stuff like that. So the kids know who the mother is, but they don't know who the father is. So to combat that, every man in the village treats each kid as if it's his own. So a child is born with one mother and a whole village full of fathers. So that's how that would work. Now, as far as polygamy, you see that with, Mormons, as well as Muslims, and in certain parts of the world like Thailand, Indonesia, and stuff like that, as well as parts of Africa and the Mediterranean, where men are able to have multiple wives as long as they can provide and care for them, and the wives agree to the other wives. Now, monogamy, that's mainly through Christianity. But for some reason, we're programmed to believe that's the only way. For instance, what they use mostly to program us into monogamy is they use women. They program women. Now, this is where I bring to you guys the two polar opposites when it comes to male and female, or masculine and feminine, where the conscious and the subconscious. So the conscious mind is masculine. The subconscious is feminine. So feminine beings are easier to program than masculine beings because they are more subconscious and they are conscious. You notice this with men, where men think things through, men overthink things, they're always in their heads and stuff like that. They're very strict and, physical, whereas in females go by feeling, intuition, and instinct. That's why a lot of times people feel like, oh, they're smarter than men and stuff like that, because they're going by the years and years of hard drive memory they have in their bodies, because they operate mostly off of subconscious program. So what the media has done is that it's related its messages, also religion too, to program women. Now what monogamy does, that monogamy makes women compete with each other. Now I'm not saying monogamy is the wrong way or it's the right way. I'm just saying that everybody has options. In nature there's options, and nature doesn't say one option is bad or good. It just says as long as you're able to meet the requirements for that type of relationship. So the easiest type of relationship to have is monogamy, because it's just, one person, you guys take care of each other and stuff like that. Very easy. Where with polygamy, usually it's a male with multiple females. Why is that? Because if a female has multiple males and she were to get pregnant, she wouldn't know who the father is, and most men are not cool with that. Also, if you look at nature, there isn't really a pack or social type animals where it's a female mating with a bunch of males, and basically she's the only female with like 4, 5, 6 males. It doesn't work that way because she takes time to reproduce each male's offspring. So that's why it goes the other way around. And that's just the way nature is. But it works better for females because sex is a spiritual exchange. That's another thing that we need to get in our minds. Sex is a spiritual exchange. And in that spiritual exchange, females are on the receiving end most. That's why you see with women who are, I want to say hoes or thoughts and shit, but women who are promiscuous tend to have not just mood swings and, you know, they have mental issues, but they're spiritually imbalanced. So they're always having problems. They always have problems with themselves because they collect the spiritual energy of every man that they sleep with. So if you have a piece of every man's spirit or whatever like that, yours is gonna be freaking, you know, confused and shit. So you gotta be selective with who you sleep with regardless. Unless, like I say, you're in a free, open, liberal, you know, environment. Like I said, like that tribal village where, you know, everybody's in agreement and stuff like that. It's all about the culture when it comes to what relationship you wanna have. All I'm saying is that monogamy is not the only way. What monogamy does, as I said, is that it's a form of oppressing women. That's why it's cemented across so many different cultures, because it separates women. Women don't really compete with each other. The strongest females in the animal world is what? The female lion. Female lions are polygamous. They use the males solely for reproducing. They could hunt, kill for themselves and stuff like that. If something is too dangerous or, you know, to protect the territory and stuff like that, they have the males for that and for reproducing. They just reproduce the biggest, strongest males. Now that also happened in our society as well, for humans as well. The last superpower female society was the Amazons, as you heard in Greek mythology and also in the comic books. Now, people think that, oh, that's fake. It's not. It's actually true. Archaeologists and scientists and stuff like that have found bones reaching anywhere from Eastern Europe all the way to Eastern Asia. So they had quite a big amount of territory of a society of women that were warriors. So these women, not only did they govern the society, but they also defended it and they built it, and they were polygamous. They usually just used men for reproductive reasons. So what they would do is they would reproduce the biggest, strongest man they could find, and they would share that man, and they would all use his sperm basically to reproduce strong offsprings. And also they used the men, I think, to like build construction and stuff like that. But they were also polygamous. Also female gorillas. Female gorillas are the strongest female primates in the world. So you see these strong female figures of collections of united females were through polygamy. So as you can tell, like let's say, you know, if you know females or if you're a female and stuff like that, usually when females have a problem with each other, there's usually a man involved. A man trying to get with your girl trying to get with your man, you know, your girl's flirting with your man or vice versa and stuff like that. And a lot of females lose relationships that way. But let's say if a female chose to be polygamous and you have a best friend or a homegirl and stuff like that, and you guys are like, you know what? We're gonna get that man. We're gonna find ourselves the best man we can find, the best looking man with the most money and shit like that. And as a group, we're gonna keep that man for ourselves. That would actually work. But women have been programmed that if they become liberal, right? If they have like a free sex life, that they're a hoe and a slut. And if they become polygamous, that means that they're not valuable enough or they're not worthy enough to keep one man to themselves. But that is not the case. It's all about what you accept and what the culture is. Also, what it is that you want to do. Do you want to reproduce the biggest, best, strongest man possible? Do you want the best, healthiest kids possible and stuff like that? Do you have friends or family members that want to do the same thing? Then y'all could just plan that and get the dude. It actually does work that way. That's the way it works in nature. Then also, if you do want to be promiscuous, you want to have a liberal, free sex life, then what you should do is join a community, which there are, like I think hippies had it, where there was a community where sex was free. Like everybody just fucked each other and shit like that. And everybody would take responsibility for whatever child was born. So you have to find those communities or those cultures that for the relationship you want to have. But there isn't just one relationship. Monogamy works best, really, for people who want to keep a certain bloodline, you know, like royalty. Or it also works for people who live in poverty. So poverty and royalty is what monogamy works the best with, right? Because a man who's living in poverty conditions, he could basically only maintain one woman and her kids and stuff like that. Whereas also with royalty, they want to keep a certain bloodline. So there isn't that many royal females out there. So they gotta be very selective with who they get in relationships with. So it has to be monogamous. But in the middle, if you're in the top 10%, or even like, let's say, the top 30% of society, you have the option of being polygamous if you want. As a man, females of any income could be polygamous, liberal, or monogamous. Y'all have that choice. Men, we need to go by our income because we have to provide for the female we choose. So depending on our income, we could be either monogamous, polygamous. Liberal is probably like the best choice for men who are in poverty condition. That's why you see in mostly urban areas, poverty-stricken urban areas and stuff like that, everybody's just fucking each other. You know, there's so many women with fatherless children because a lot of men can't afford to maintain the woman to begin with. So they have sex, there's no abortion, there's nothing like that, and the woman has a child, and now the man, he's not there because he didn't want the kid to begin with, because he didn't want the woman to begin with, and it was just for sex. Now, I'm not saying it's right or wrong, I'm just saying that's the way it is. So liberal usually works well for small communities or poverty-stricken communities. So does monogamy. Polygamy works, and as far as a man goes, polygamy works well with men who are able to provide for multiple women. So that's what I wanted to share with y'all, right? The 3 types of relationships that are in nature that actually do work in society. So there isn't just one type. You gotta ask yourself, what is it you want in your relationship? What's the best relationship that you feel you fit in? What does your culture suit? Because here's the problem with monogamy. Monogamy, what it does is that for women in a certain age bracket, is great. If you're a young woman with no kids and stuff like that, monogamy is great because you're the main thing men are looking for. But once you pass a certain age, like let's say like over 30 and stuff like that, monogamy, now your options have dwindled. Because with monogamy, it's like, all right, you're my one and only everything. So I'm counting on you to have all these kids and do everything and all this and that. It's like having just one business, you know, or having one car. You need that car, that business to do everything. So usually the person you want to do everything is the youngest person possible. As for, let's say, if a woman was polygamous, a man who is polygamous, he's not gonna really be too picky about how old you are or what age bracket you're in or how fertile you are, because he could always get someone younger, he could get someone older, you know, it's different shit. So if you take that route, you'll probably be able to elevate the value of man you're able to attract, at least with a higher success rate than it is now. Anyways, your boy the God. Remember, keep those relationships in mind because they were really programmed to oppress and separate women. For women to unite, you gotta understand the different types of relationships. Be open-minded. That's what women should be, is open-minded, because the subconscious mind is the more powerful part of the brain. And that's the part of the brain that actually controls most of your life, all right? Anyways, your boy the God. I'll catch you in the next one.